really, really excited today to talk about my albums of the year for 2024. Now, if you follow me on social media and you follow the Facebook page, I did post about all of those albums over the last few days. But I want to throw a congratulations out to Flotsam and Jetsam. Flotsam and Jetsam, of course, just an outstanding album. Probably, in my opinion, the best record they have ever done. These last three records, in my opinion, by far the best material that they have ever recorded. And I got to be honest, when I go and do these like this album of the year list, what ends up happening is I get probably 500 submissions a year. I've talked about this in other podcasts. I've talked about it on this podcast. I get tons of electronic press kits from bands sent to me by publicists and record labels, and just a lot of record labels out there. I mean, I'm getting inundated with bands every single day, and I probably had I had a chance to listen to about 200 albums this year, and there are 30 that really hit the mark with me. I'm going to flash that list up here. I want everybody to see the list of my top 30 albums of the year. Check this out. This is the list, and in all honesty, these albums were outstanding for me. I'm always going to get, those people that are going to say something along the lines of, oh my God, why not this band? Or why not this album? And to be honest, the cool thing about heavy metal, everybody's list is different. I was going through a lot of the favorite albums of the year lists from so many other media outlets, from some of the bigger media outlets. My list is literally completely different than probably anybody's that I've seen. And, metal is such a diverse genre, and there's so many subgenres, and there's so many bands. They don't resonate with everybody. They're, usually if there's a band I'm not into, I usually don't talk about them. But anyway, Flotsam and Jetsam, I got to be honest with you folks, looking at this list right now, it is my favorite album of the year. It was just such a perfect record for me, in my opinion. And then you go to Rage with After Lifelines. That actually was the album of the year up until the Flotsam album came out. Two CDs of basically two albums worth of music that they put out. But all of these albums really deserved to be here. If you're on this list, in my opinion, you put out an exceptional record. I mean, you got Sebastian Bach on there, Lords of Black, of course, a newer band on the scene, I think did really well. I'm just going to kind of go and give you some highlights on the list. Scanner, again, they are a band that's never even cracked I think they cracked the top 10, but they've never been in the top 5 ever. Saxon, of course, always in the top 10 anytime they put out a record. I think Terra Maze, of course, on there, very, very good prog band from Australia. Judas Priest, I think Invincible Shield was an amazing record. Firewind, of course, and Axis, I mean, that rounded out the top 10. Blaze Bayley, his solo stuff, again, is awesome. I liked the Kerry King album a lot more than I thought I would. Except in Bruce Dickinson. Except put out a great, solid effort. Bruce's album actually ended up getting a lot of flack from a lot of people. I'm kind of like in the middle of all that. I don't think it's his best album, but I definitely don't think it's bad. Voodoo Circle, Metal Light is a newer band on the scene that made the list. Warlord with their comeback album, outstanding. I debated putting Empires of Eden on this list because I sang one song on the album, but I decided, you know what? If I wasn't on the album, I'd review it. So I basically reviewed it. It made the top 20. Musically, it's outstanding. Aska, again, putting out an album, Night Strike, definitely a great record. George Call really making kind of a comeback after, he left Clovenhoof with that record. And then rounding up the top 20, you have the Gems. These ladies they are amazing. They are definitely amazing. So some different bands in here that I normally would have. Dimitri, That's a band from the Czech Republic. They're an interesting band. There's an interview with them here on the podcast. You know, you had Astronomica, which is Wade Black's new band. Deep Purple put out a really good album. David Reese, former singer from Accept, great record he put out. You know, you got the Category 7 on there, Sirius Black, Satan, Cloven Hoof, Plan 9, which is an album Ian Lukasen put out, and then, of course, the Nightwish album. So that's the list. Of course, you can go read down this list as well if you want to. I will put it in the show notes here on YouTube, but if you're on Facebook, obviously you can go back a few posts and see that list. So I got to be honest with you, as far as where I thought this year ended up, you know, I think this year was a little bit weaker than the last couple years. There were more records sent to me, and I liked about the same amount of albums. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, some years are better than others. I think last year was great. But 2024 was an interesting year. Now, 2025 is starting out great. You got the Halo Effect album, which I'm going to review here in a minute. You have the new Gravedigger that's coming out, and the new Brainstorm album, which called Plague of Rats, which is a really, really great record. I'll review that here down the road as well. Trying to get Andy Frank on my show yet again. So this was a great list of bands. I think the Flotsam and Jetsam album, you know, the last two before this, I think those albums, I mean, they were top 5 albums for me as well. So I think I Am the Weapon would hold its own against any year, or any year of, as long as I've been doing the show. It would hold up in any list. It would be up minimum the top 5, but it is definitely my favorite of the year. You know, I talked about that briefly, you know, earlier, you know, probably back in the fall, but it's album of the year. So I want to send a huge shout out to Flotsam and Jetsam. I want to send a specific shout out to drummer Ken Mary, and of course, guitarist Michael Gilbert, because they did come on the program this year, and the interviews were fantastic. They really were. So props to those guys. And I think 2025 is going to be great. You have a lot of great stuff. I'm really, of course, looking forward to the new Halloween album that will be, you know, coming out, you know, probably sometime in the first half this year, maybe early summer, maybe late summer, who knows. No release date has been set, but it's probably going to come out most likely around that time period. You know, is around the time they talked about. I saw a press release, something where it said maybe the first half of the year. We'll see. Overall, though, really excited, and this was a really, really good year. So let's move on to the next segment. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.